Adventurous kids, explore with education and learning what a wildlife is in the Everglades. I want to explore the Museum of Discovering Science. What plants do butterflies like? I want to know about Key West Adventurous Kids, learning and fun. Adventurous Kids!
Today I'm going to tell you about the scientific method. The scientific method is a way for scientists to study and learn things. It doesn't matter what the scientist is trying to learn, using the scientific method can help them come up with an answer. The scientific method was first thought of by Aristotle back in ancient Greece. Before then, it was enough to simply create a hypothesis of saying why birds fly and use reason to support that hypothesis. Aristotle says that being able to think of a reason by itself wasn't science. The scientists would have to back up their theory with some kind of proof. Through the centuries, the scientific method that we know today came into being. Francis Bacon, René Descartes, and Isaac Newton all helped contribute to the development of the scientific method as a good way to learn about nature and science. They wrote papers and discussed how using experiments and changing variables can help to determine if a guess or hypothesis is correct. One of the first people to create an outline of the steps in the scientific method was John Stuart Mill. There is no one scientific method, but in general, it is usually written as a number of steps. The first step of the scientific method is simply to ask a question. All scientific work begins with having a question to ask or a problem to solve. Sometimes just coming up with the right question is the hardest part for a scientist. The question should be answerable by means of an experiment. The second step involves research, but don't worry, it's fun research. Before scientists can perform an experiment, they have to know all of the basics about what it is they're working with. The third step is to make a guess as to what will happen, which is called a hypothesis. A hypothesis in science is a word meaning an educated guess about how something works. It should be possible to prove it right or wrong. The fourth step is to design and conduct an experiment to test your hypothesis. An experiment should be able to tell the scientist if the hypothesis is wrong. It may not tell him or her if the hypothesis is right. A key to good experiments is to only change one thing or variable at a time. This way you can check your results and know what you changed that changed the answer. Carefully controlling your experiments is an important part of the scientific method. Make sure to carefully follow the steps and record your results. The fifth step is analyzing the data. Charts and graphs are great tools for completing this step of the scientific method. Look at the information gathered and see if it supports a hypothesis. If you find that the results don't fit with your original hypothesis, you can now change your hypothesis and run more tests if necessary. The sixth step is draw conclusions from your data. A conclusion explains whether or not the original hypothesis was correct. Even a false hypothesis can teach scientists about what works and what doesn't work. The final step is communicate the results to others. A key element of science is sharing the results of experiments so that other scientists can then use the knowledge themselves and all of science can benefit. Although written as a list, this is really a cycle. A scientist may go around it a number of times before being satisfied with the answer. The scientific method is designed so that anyone, any scientist or student, can do the same experiment themselves and see the results. The scientific method is the cornerstone to modern science. Without a formal method of determining questions and their answers, we wouldn't have science or the knowledge we have today. Here are specific steps that should be taken when using the scientific method. Here is an example of the steps as seen here on the screen. Thanks for watching this Adventurous Kids episode.
What did you learn today?
Adventurous Kids!
Adventurous Kids!
What was the most interesting fact?
Adventurous Kids!
Adventurous Kids!
Adventurous Kids!